Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Skaven led by Valnir facing off against Smoky Loco and his Norskans here on the Glade of the Ever Queen, and let's go ahead and break down these armies. So for the forces of Norska, it is going to be a Dreadmaw. Dreadmaws, of course, after the most recent patch, have had a slight cost increase of 100 gold, not a big deal, and they do also get restricted to 1 on the roster. But against Skaven, a very good tool. They cause terror, they're incredibly tough to kill, you can pop up on weapons teams, or even on bricks of Stormvermin and get that really good explosion damage. So it is going to be the Dreadmaw here. And on the outside, we do have 3 Marauder Horsemen, several of which are going to be throwing axes, kind of a bit of a tech against the Skaven bringing Stormvermin. And in the woods for Norska, it's going to be Marauder Bearmen, very cost-effective, tons of HP, and a Shaman Sorcerer of Metal. Searing Doom's pretty good. You know, Plague of Rust against Skaven is so-so. Probably not super necessary, but, you know, if you're not going to be going for Final Transmutation, might as well bring it. Searing Doom, drop that on top of any Skaven position, any of their bunched-up infantry, and you are going to be living long and prospering, but very different not seeing Lure of Fire. Definitely, this man is very prepared for some Stormvermin, it looks like, with the Great Weapons as well. So for the Skaven army of Valnir, Shaven army, I don't know what the hell we're talking about here, but Skaven army, Valnir going to be coming in rocking Skaven slaves, and some Stormvermin with Sword and Board. And Sword and Board Stormvermin give something that Skaven have almost never had in this matchup, which is stability in the front line. They are able to hold their own against most of the Norscan baseline infantry like Marauders and Marauder Bearmen. The Grey Weapons will probably uptrade into them and actually beat them 1-to-1 just because of the HP difference as well as the armor piercing, but aside from that, these little rat boys will hold a long time. Stormvermin in the secondary with more halberds. We do have Rat Ogres and Lord Skrolk, Big Pimpin himself, going to be here with Plague. Very good spell. You can use this to just karate chop any of those bunched up Norscan infantry. So when your Stormvermin engage against their Great Weapons, if Skrolk can methodically focus down the Great Weapons, it's going to be freeing up a ton of that pressure from these Stormvermin. And then we do have Liber One Chodicus, as it was once called, as well as Rod of Corruption. A couple Rat Ogres in the mix as well, and that is going to be it. So the Trouser Snake going to be creeping in the backfield. Looks like it's thinking about popping up here on the Stormvermin. It's really thinking about it. Kind of moving there and heading into the Skaven backfield. Skaven do have a couple little light shooting units here with the Night Runners, which could put some pressure on it. Now there are some ways, I believe Skaven do have a silence with the, is it the Morskatar's Hellion who has a silence effect? I can't remember, but they do have 1 unit or 2 units. And it could zap increases. Yeah, you could actually shoot it with the zap cannon, and that would increase its cooldown on its burrow, so that it wouldn't be able to re-burrow. So there's a couple little haggard schemes that Skaven can do. But here on the flank, Smokey going to be doing some flank harass, Riders of the Mighty Serpent getting around the outside, enveloping this unit of Skaven slaves. And honestly, this is a win for the Skaven here. Having ammunition be used on such a haggard unit is definitely a win. Now the Trouser Snake pops up, and it is able to get a nice break right there, so well played to the Norskans. Breaking the Night Runners and sending them running, and it looks like he got a pop-up right in the middle of both of those units, which is quite nice. But the Night Runners are actually really good counter-skirmishing against the Marauder Horsemen equivalents. They have a loose formation and pretty good numbers, 120 against the 60 of the Horsemen, so they typically do very well in those trades. But so far, Valnir are playing very cautious, just trying to skirmish and take his time. And Norska, though, is counter-skirmishing well with their Dreadmaw popping up, and I don't think it's already earned chevrons. I think he put a couple chevrons on the Dreadmaw there to make it a little bit stronger. All right, so columns for both players. We do see the Shaman hiding in the woods, and Norska currently sitting on a lot. Maybe good to be calling it a Chimera, or the ROR Chimera. Big terror-causing monster against Bricks of Stormvermin, incredibly good. Just get that breath attack down the side and live long and prosper. All right, so now we see the big dog coming out. It's going to be the Morskatar's Hellion. Yeah, he's got a increased cooldown effect. So every time he hits you, just like it could zap cannon, it's going to be adding 10 seconds to your cooldown. So if this bad boy can make contact with the Trouser Snake, it's never going to be zipped back in the pants again. Assuming he could miss a couple times and the effect could wear off, but more than likely it's going to be nonstop once he makes contact. All right, he gets in there, but it looks like the Dreadmaw was able to get underground right before contact. But, you know, the Dreadmaw, next time he pops up, the Morskatar's Hellion will be ready to go. So Skaven still haven't advanced up yet. Certainly heavily pressured by the skirmishing here, but in the back we're getting some slingers being called out. This is a great choice, by the way. Just cheap Skaven slave slingers are such a nice tech against the Norscan skirmishers because, again, they're dirt cheap. If they get dove, you don't really care. And they have enough range and, you know, poking prowess to poke back those Marauder Horsemen. So I really like that tech. Now, the question is, where are the Skaven going to be going? Are they going to make a straight push and head for the home objective of Norska or go for the contested objective here? And it looks like a Searing Doom is going to be activated. Not a bad one. Not great, though, either. It just kind of tickles those Skaven slaves there. So just kind of sending a message. Those should be getting used on the Stormvermin, hands down. And I think the one that you really need to worry about are probably the Halberds, because they can fight your Skin Wolves and some of your bigger threats. And they do also have some AP as well. All right, so the Shaman moving in, Liber Bubonicus getting in there. This is very, very risky for the Shaman. He's getting a little bit crunk nasty. I would imagine that he's going to be running here in a second. Probably just honestly a miss micro, and there he goes. So that Shaman, very bloodthirsty, saw visions of Khorne, and honestly, if he gets away here, he's going to be pretty happy with himself, and he does get away. All right, so on the backside, being called in by Norska, 2 more Marauder Bearman Grey Opens. A good choice. Obviously, this Skaven is presenting a ton of armor on their roster. With all these Storm Vermin, I think there's like 5 in total, so having the extra Grey Opens on the field is going to be a very, very nice choice. Now, the Dreadmaw, has it emerged? No, it's still been underground. Searing Doom going to be dropped on the Skirmishers, and that's not a bad choice. Getting rid of the tools that can poke down your Skirmishers is not a bad idea. But I think Valnir is going to be arriving with his Slingers soon, and yes, he does have his Skaven Slave Slingers. Going to be 3 of those bad boys standing at the ready, and it looks like the Skaven are going to be rotating over and trying to contest objective number 3. Now, it does leave a bit of an opening here. They should definitely leave something on Objective 1 if they can. Looks like some Night Runners are being called in and Doom Players as well. And the Doom Players are amazing at killing infantry. Norska has some counters via Trolls and or Skinwolves. We'll see what they decide to do. It looks like it is going to be some Skinwolves in the mix here, Skinwolves back there, and on the backside, Kurgan Horsemen, which we've seen Anticity put on an absolute clinic with those bad boys recently. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so 1 unit of Storm Vermin kind of hanging out near Objective 1. Dreadmaw is going to be popping up again here for Smokey and getting a little bit of damage here on these Skaven Slaves and sending them packing. And the other Skaven Slaves, seeing their friends get routed by a giant snake, certainly probably not super stoked about being there. And here, Norska is contesting the objective. They do have their Marauder Bearmen up on the point. Meanwhile, on the outside, Skaven Slaves engaged against the Bearmen. And I would imagine that is going to be a plague. It's going to be a nice one. So the Horn Rat going to be breathing a little bit of noxious fumes here into these Norskins. And you can see he's doing it, man. He's like, oh, yeah, this dude's like at a freaking new metal concert right there, just getting hyped. But he does drop it, and the Marauder Bearmen take a ton of damage. And for 12 Winds Magic, which I don't think he overcasted that's pretty damn good. Able to nail those guys in, or maybe it was overcasted. That was an obscene amount of damage, actually. So probably was the overcasted version, which I haven't seen that spell in so long. But just like we talked about, they did get a little bit lax on their back objective. Some Storm Vermin going to be rolling over there, and the Morskatar's Hellion, I would assume, is going to head over there as well. And the Kurgans or Marauder Horseman Throwing Axe is going to be running into the Storm Vermin, while we do see reinforcements of Clan Rats coming in, which will allow them to hold that objective for some time. Nice play by Smokey, parking on the outside of the objective, but unfortunately for him, the Storm Vermin are going to be securing it. And now we see a clash on the front lines. Rat Ogres, Doom Players, Lord Skrolk. Lord Skrolk is he's a pretty beastly little fighter. He does have a discouraging effect and an AoE spell, the Rod of Corruption, or an item. So that's going to be doing nice AoE damage to all these guys. A little kind of Walmart version of Cleansing Rune right there, although more designed against multi-units. Hits the Marauder Bearmen, and you can see the Norskins actually kind of getting folded by the Skaven there. They're getting pushed back nice and good. Skrolk with the negative, I think, 16 leadership when he hits you. Negative 10 contaminated. Yeah, it's pretty good. The Sensor Bearers, I think, are the same. All right, so back here, we do see the Morskatar's Hellion coming in, and the Trouser Snake probably feeling very safe here, but now it's going to be getting boinked, and is he going to get hit? He does get hit. That's going to be adding 10 seconds to his cooldown, and finally, the meat is going to be beat here by the Hellion, and that bad boy is not going to be able to go back underground. He's going to be suffering the Troll Soul here, and honestly, probably is going to go down. It's always really fun to see innovative tech like that, right? These are Marauder Horsemen, going to be charging in, trying to help the Dreadmaw, but not going to work out well for them. Not with the Clan Rats here, and then we do also see the Wolf Rats, who will be able to chase them down and do very effective. And yeah, Skaven are holding on to the 2 points right now. Value trading is favoring Valnir here a little bit, as Lord Skrolk is continuing to lead his people. Storm Vermin Halberds in an okay position. They do have the high ground a little bit. You can see they're standing on the hill, and they are getting in there with some nice anti-large attacks against the Skinwolves. Rat Ogres stacked on top of them to give them a little bit of mass, although the Rat Ogres are taking a colossal amount of damage from the Skinwolves, although the Skinwolves do not stand the test of time. So Plague activated once again on the Marauder Bearmen here, and Lord Skrolk is going to be manifesting. It kind of just looks like him. He's just kind of channeling a big version of himself. You know, Skaven are all about the bombastic kind of, big, a lot of flair in their style and their attacks here. But nonetheless, it does take down that Marauder Bearman. Very, very nice. And in the backfield, the Morskatar's Hellion doing quite a number here on the Dreadmaw. That Dreadmaw getting whooped on pretty good, sitting at about 1850 HP. The Morskatar's Hellion needs to keep focusing, though, because if he stops attacking it, this thing is going to be able to go underground again. So yeah, he needs to stay on top of that and make sure it can't disappear. And if Dreadmaw's leadership breaks, they just disappear. There's no, like, rallying for them. They're gone forever once it breaks. But man, oh man, it's hard to break their leadership, sitting at only base 70, but I feel like their leadership is way higher than that. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're immune to some weird contact effects that normally lower leadership. Hard to say. So back in the front, Searing Doom activated by Smokey. Not a bad cast at all. Able to get on the Storm Vermin. Quite a nice one right there. As on the back, the Skaven Slave saturating in and putting some decent poke onto the Condom Wolves here. And more Storm Vermin going to be saturating from the side, heading on over. As we see a big push of Kurgans. Now, this is a big moment for the Norskans. The Norskans need to have a lot of success with these Kurgans. If they just get thrown into the fray and just get ground down, it's going to be probably a loss. That's like 2,100 gold that it looks like he was saving up for that. I don't know, they're moving into some tough fights, like Storm Vermin back here. They do get a bit of a good fight, as they do get on top of the Storm Vermin Sword and Shield. And these are the Great Weapon version, so not bad, but some firepower coming in from the Skaven Slave Slingers. And at the back point, the Dreadmaw does get taken out. So it looks like it went underground and ran back to the hills from whence it came. And the Morskatar's Hellion, after a very successful mission, going to be heading back over here and looking to provide some scary assets to the Skaven army. Now, Norska is looking a little bit raggedy over here. An opportunity maybe for Clan Rat, son of Clan Rat, to prove his worth. And maybe he will head up here towards Objective 2 with the Wolf Rats and try and grab that. Oh man, the Norscan Lord actually very beat up as well. Yeah, Skaven are winning the pit fight here. They definitely are. Norscan's running out of steam a little bit, and honestly, these plague spells, this is so cool to see this in action. I haven't seen this spell used in a long time, but you know, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of mystery in the meta still, and that plague spell, quite excellent. Just kind of methodically taking down the Great Weapons, which has been freeing up his Storm Vermin to be effective. It's just a brilliant targeting, honestly, here by Valnir. All right, folks, Clan Rats fighting here. Storm Vermin looking to be in good shape. Morskatar's Hellion, I believe, got a little bit surrounded up here. Moved in unsupported against the two Kurgans and does get bullied. But honestly, he's already done his job. And looking here, we do see the Norskans kind of breaking against the rocks as they really have nothing left over here. The value obviously isn't tracking probably those plague spells at all. Because right now, the Skaven should be ahead by like 1,500, 2,000, if not a little bit more. And yeah, we see Norska just kind of on death's bed. I'm too weak, help me. Horseman fleeing back. We do see the Shaman Sorcerer Metal here, also in death's bed. And I just don't see any way Norska is going to be able to get this game back. And what a cool illustration as well. We'll kind of fast forward here a little bit and see if Norska has a chance at pulling it back. I mean, looking at the score, it is close, but Skaven should have an easy lock on things. We see a couple Kurgan Horsemen coming up. Norska getting more and more Kurgans out. Somebody's been watching Anticity play a little bit. And yeah, as it currently stands, the Rats are going to be passing them in points here in just a couple seconds. And they have a pretty strong bastion of positions just of Rats all over these objectives, man. Storm Vermin holding it down for the Horn Rat. And Doom players getting in as well. Those guys are going to be getting forced back. 1,100 points here. And Norska is still, you know, fighting to the bitter end. Maybe hoping the Skaven are going to make a mistake. But Valnir is playing a very tight game here. And I don't think he's going to be making any mistakes in his positioning. Now, couple highlights for this game. Couple things that I really enjoyed. We see a little bit of fighting still going down here. Yeah, Norska trying to lure him out, but waves of healthy Storm Vermin going to be arriving. Plague going to be pushing those guys back. And right now, the Skaven win comfortably, just falling back to one objective if they want to. But Lord Skrull going to be getting a Rod of Corruption. But anyways, let's have our like little post-game breakdown. So basically, my favorite elements of this game were you index into Storm Vermin. What's a few of the things that can counter Storm Vermin effectively? Cost-effective Great Weapon units. So you were able to really punish those using the Plagues, which freed up the Storm Vermin. But more important, just the Plague spell in general was so fun to see. It was really effective against those Norskans. Man, I'm going to have to steal those. I'm taking notes, man. But it worked very well. Also seeing the cool tech of the Morskatar's Hellion taking down the Dreadmaw. That's clever. Yeah, it works great. Dreadmaw still was able to get some disruption at the beginning, but you can see its value has head to a very low amount here. So yeah, great game. Certainly was quite a bit of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Now the Kurgan Horsemen, I don't know. Yeah, I'm still on the fence about them. When you see a high level player like Ent use them, they can look very strong. But on that same coin, they're so glass cannon. If you leave them in combat too long or take a semi-bad fight, man, they just fold up. But I think the dual weapon one against Skaven is good against Clan Rat spam. So I don't hate that. Maybe mixing in something outside of these guys. I think if Smokey had mixed in like the Miststalkers, the Arwar Famir, which wouldn't have been killed by the Plague spells, but would have also countered the Storm Vermin, that could have been very nice. His Searing Doom was his big bread and butter. That actually did quite a bit of damage. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this one. Thank you to Valnir and Smokey for the replay. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all on the other side.